Nikita, how you doing?
Rich, good. How's it going with you?
Very well, mate. Very well. How is it over on the other side of the planet?
Sunny and warm, finally. So I'm based in Toronto, but we've had a little bit of a bout of bad weather over the last little bit. For like the last week and a half, it's just been gray skies. Felt more like London, honestly. But now blue skies, 22, 23 degrees. Couldn't be happier. How about you?
I feel like you've just had a little dig at us there.
Just a little bit, but that's it.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 19th episode of the Six Sessions. This week is a return to the partnerships. As a business, Six and Flow has been built on partnerships. We've widened our scope and accelerated our growth using partnerships. So they've been a big part of what we've done to date. And that's why today's guest is a great fit. Each week, I get the chance to chat with someone in the growth space, be that marketing, sales, or CX. All of them so far have been smarter and faster and better than I am. And today's guest is hopefully no different. So big expectations, Nikita. The sessions are live. We'll try to keep them short and sweet, but if it's not, it's fine because you're not paying for it anyway. But they are definitely unfiltered. If you have complaints, you can send them to Nikita, not me. But
Deal.
but this week, it's my pleasure to introduce you to someone we've worked alongside for a while now, someone who knows the power of partnerships. But what are good partnerships if you don't have some way of managing them, developing them, and empowering them? Today's guest builds partnerships for one of the best known partner relationship tools, PartnerStack. But actually, he spent almost as much time building companies as he has building relationships. So with all that in mind, I'm excited to welcome Nikita Zhitkevich. Nikita, last time we saw each other, it was out in Toronto, just as the pandemic was starting to kick off. It's first and only time we've met in person. How was the wild ride of 2020 for you?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and thanks for the introduction there, Rich. But you know, it's weird that I don't think I've actually reflected on what 2020 has been like, but it was hectic, as I'm sure it was for everyone. I think, the first couple of months were very much a question mark. No one knew what was going on. Everyone was in pretty much full lockdown. But then, luckily, PartnerStack continued to grow. We were in the fortunate situation where we continued to kind of grow and expand, and that was particularly interesting. So, all in all, not a terrible year, but obviously a year full of a lot of kind of like ups and downs and a lot of upheaval is what I'd say. That's the best way to describe it.
So for me, it was very much like peaks and troughs of adrenaline. So there was like at the start, it was like the world is on fire. I don't know what to do. Like I've got to like head down and make sure this is all working. There was like a real surge of like a focus and adrenaline. And then it kind of, it dropped, and then it came back up when there was a second wave and we were going back into other lockdowns and up and down. And I felt like I got to the end of 2020 and I was exhausted, and it was just, I was ready for the new year. And apparently the new year was going to bring no more lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, I think it felt similar, right? So now that I think about it, right, like I think there was a really big, like I had a really big focus of energy early on. So like the March, April, May, it was a real focus on like, okay, like what's going to happen? What's going to happen to software? Are people never going to buy software again? Because they were making a mad dash just for the grocery stores, let alone software. And so that was kind of the question there. But then luckily, a lot of things abated by the mid to end of May. Like normal kind of cycles and purchasing cycles continued because people realized, hey, like this isn't the end of the world necessarily. Like we need to continue to move forward. And so I think when summer came, COVID cases up in Ontario and Canada declined too. And so it was a little bit of a breather. I think everyone kind of just like relaxed for a little bit. I even remember seeing a few friends socially and coming back, and I was exhausted because it was the first time I think that I had like legitimately relaxed in 2 or 3 months. And then when the second wave picked up again in Ontario, then it was back to that kind of focus as well too. And we're currently in what is our third lockdown here in Ontario that we're hopefully is the last one that we're gonna see. That'll hopefully be lifted in June. But yeah, I think it's been like a very focused surge of energy during the lockdowns because you can't really do anything else. But as summer comes, like I'm hopeful we can get back outside and just just have a good what our politicians here call a two-dose summer.
we're
Yeah.
so like we're waiting for kind of travel and vaccines to be rolled out properly in Canada, because we've got team members out there that some of them, one of them nobody in the team's ever met in person. The other, like only a couple of us have met in person. We can't wait to get them kind of over here and saying hi. So top level, what's your business? What does PartnerStack do and who's it for?
Yeah, totally. So think of PartnerStack as the centralized tool for any individual or any organization to manage their partnerships. So any indirect partners that might be working with them to either promote or sell their business, PartnerStack is the tool for them to manage those relationships. And so what we do is, we help a lot of companies launch, automate, manage, and scale everything from a simple referral channel to a partner marketing affiliate channel, all the way up to a reseller, agency, and tech partner program. And it kind of the idea came from what started at Y Combinator back in 2015. And the thought process was the founders were seeing a lot of organizations use multiple different tools for different partnerships. So if you had a referral partnership, an affiliate partnership, or a reseller channel, you would typically need to use 3 solutions to manage all 3 partnerships, which seemed very inefficient because three solutions, 3 integrations, 3 BI tools and reporting, it just becomes like a huge mess. And you guys probably have a good understanding implementing a lot of software, how like the more software you add, sometimes it can create a lot of confusion and complexity, especially when it solves a similar problem. And so what we were seeing was a big trend of consolidation. And so we were like, okay, cool, like let's build a tool that allows you to manage multiple different partner types all in a seamless fashion in one way, without you needing necessarily, and giving those partners very different experiences without you necessarily needing to purchase multiple different solutions. And so that's how PartnerStack came about.
And so what's your role within PartnerStack?
Yeah, my role's a little bit meta, and it can be a little bit confusing sometimes. But I'm the director of channel partnerships and alliances at PartnerStack. My goal is to build out our own partner program, help like leveraging partners to kind of expand our scope and reach and sell, PartnerStack. So the partner portal for partnerships, which is kind of cool, very meta for sure, because we're building it using our own technology. But really, what we hope is it really just ends up, doing 2 things for us. One, it serves as a testament that partnerships can be a massive growth channel for organizations, and our technology can support it. But 2, really, like it helps us redefine what partnerships means for us and what partnerships means for SaaS companies moving forward. And so, how do we do this, and how do we be our best case study, really, in this scenario?
Now, how did you get into the partnership game? Because it's not a natural transition, or like, I mean, you don't leave college and go, I'm going to go build partnerships. Like, how did you get into that partnership piece?
Yeah,
Or
this is
maybe you did.
no, I mean, it's actually a really good idea. So I'd say before 2017, I had a very limited understanding of partnerships, and very limited. It was, best at best, I had some understanding of what a reseller was, just from common knowledge. But basically, I joined PartnerStack when we were about 6 people, and it was very serendipitous. I was part of something called Next 36, this accelerator here in Toronto, in Canada, and the CEO was kind of just poking around on my LinkedIn page. He didn't even send me a connection request, but honestly, I thought he was just looking to join the accelerator. So I was like, I'm going to shoot him a connection request, see what happens. Basically, shot him a connection request. He added me and just said, hey, I'd love to jump on a call. Keep in mind, this was someone I'd never met before. And I was like, love to jump on a call with you, but what are we going to talk about? Like, I don't really know you. And basically he said, hey, look, we're growing like crazy. We're looking to hire. I would love to have a chat. Long and short, next thing I know, early January 2017, I'm joining what was then called GrowSumo, but now PartnerStack team, to effectively help them kind of scale their efforts. And at that point in time, we were about 6 people, 4 co-founders, and then like 2 other employees. And so I was working really closely with one of the co-founders to just build out like the go-to-market function. And so that's when I really started learning about partnerships. Is like, okay, what does an actual partner program look like? What different organizations and what kind of partnerships do they run? And then ultimately, like, what makes sense? And so for the better half of like 2.5, 3 years, I was what I would call on the direct sales side. So trying to figure out how to sell our solution. But now in 2020, actually really close to the start of the pandemic, we were realizing that our own partner program was starting to pick up steam, and we had partners naturally saying, hey, we want to work with you. We want to work with you. How do we work with you? And it was a little bit of a risk because, similar to the pandemic, no one really saw the pandemic coming. So it was very much like a switch in. We started the switch in March, and then the pandemic hit, and the next thing you know, you're out here starting a net new channel, and the world is kind of like falling apart at the same time. And so at that point, it was the kind of goal was, let's build out our own partner channel. Let's prove this out as a case study for ourselves and use this as a really effective lever, because we truly believe, and we see in a lot of organizations, that channel partnerships is this huge underserved market that drives the majority of revenue for a lot of organizations that people just don't know about. And so we started in 2020, and even working for a partnerships organization, it was daunting. And sorry, if I'm going too long, just let me know.
No. It's right. When I'm bored, I'll just disconnect you. It's fine.
Just disconnect me. Yeah. But no, basically, it was confusing because we didn't know, where are we going to start? There's a lot of different partnership types, and what are we going to focus on? Like, are we going to focus on referral partnerships, partner marketing, or are we going to focus on maybe this reseller side to drive selling? What was very clear was it needed to drive revenue from the beginning, and it was actually really interesting because I dove into a lot of the biggest channel partner programs and trying to figure out, like, how do they do it? So how does Zoom do it? How does Monday.com do it? Learned a lot of lessons across the way, and now we're expanding the team, and the partnerships program has been successful so far. So we're excited to continue that. But it's a long answer of kind of giving you how I got into partnerships, because it's definitely not linear.
So why do you think there's value in partnerships? So like, why should people be paying attention to them?
It's a really good question. There's a lot of different values, right? And it depends on what you're looking for, right? Partners, but at the core of it is partners hold trust with customers or end vendors that you as a solution might not. And so what I mean is like PartnerStack, PartnerStack has a brand name, but far from everybody knows about us. But a lot of individuals in the software space that we may not know, and you've worked with them in the past, and so you hold a lot of trust with them. And so if we want to kind of expand and continue expanding, leveraging partners that have that trust already built with the end consumers that we're looking for will help us get there faster, right? And so one, it's leveraging trust and ensuring that that trust goes both ways, effectively between PartnerStack and our partners, and our partners to PartnerStack, that we're providing their clients the best experience that we can. But additionally, like, partnerships help across the board. They help with customer acquisition, customer retention, expanding customers as well, and ensuring that they're making the most of your solution. So I'd say it's leveraging trust that you don't currently have to continue to build your business, and not just build your own business, but build the business of the partner that you're working with as well.
So everybody wins. So I think I genuinely mean everybody in that, because you've got, like, in a SaaS relationship, right? So you've got the SaaS company, and then you've got the agency, but then you've also got the customer as well. And in that relationship, you have, in the sales process, you have, let's say the agency is the trusted advisor if the sales is going that way, but you also have the sales coming the other way sometimes, where the SaaS partner will be the trusted advisor for the services the agency selling. So it kind of goes both ways. But let's assume on one side there's a trusted advisor in that sales process. It's going to make the sales process a lot easier because there is credibility, there is understanding, that kind of stuff going on. But then for the customer, you also have that ability to speak with somebody who you trust, you have that. So it is almost like a three-way triangle of love.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does win, right? So the vendor in this case wins by securing a trusted relationship with an agency partner that has trust with the client, right? The client wins because the agency is picking a solution that is really best for their needs, and helping them implement it and helping them make the most of it. Because we all know the stories of people purchasing software, not implementing it, and then just wasting money. It's frankly all too common in software. And then the agency wins because ultimately they're working with an end vendor, their clients are getting value, and chances are, the services that they offer those clients can continue to expand. And so basically everybody can win, and there's an opportunity for everyone to make the most out of everything, because software vendors themselves can't physically do everything in the world. As much as some want to think that they can, it's not physically possible, right? Like, they can't own building the product and servicing the product, and making sure that every single customer and every single geo of the world is having a really good experience with it. You at some point need to, as an organization, grow up and say, hey, we can't do everything ourselves. We need partners to help us either we're not really good, but they might be phenomenal. So partnerships is very broad as a term, but generally speaking, there's a lot of value because ultimately you become a more mature business that admits where you're good, where you're bad, and can focus on where you're good and help bring in partners that are much better than you in certain scenarios and situations.
What do you think makes a good partnership, like particularly between like a SaaS and an agency?
It's a really good question too. I'd say So I'd probably say trust, communication, and transparency as the kind of the three things there. One, communication and transparency. Make sure that you're very clear with what you're offering, right? And so ensure that like you're not hiding things from the agency partner, because at the end of the day you're both putting something on the line, whether it's your time, your energy, or whether it's money, sometimes financially. Like, make sure that there's some kind of level of clear communication between you and trust, that hey, you're both working to make this partnership work and you're putting the best foot forward and the best effort to do so as well. In terms of transparency, it's what is coming down the pipeline. If there are limitations to your product, and the agency will know that, right? Your partner will know that because they're going to take a vested interest in your product. Let them know when those improvements are coming. Bring them into the product cycle and the product fold. Let them, give them an updated access to some kind of like a product roadmap, so that they know, hey, these are the things that we can tell our clients that we can continue to expand on them with through the specific product as well. And so I think trust, transparency, and communication are pretty big there. Obviously, products range from product to product and kind of the service and functionality that you have, but at the end of the day, we're humans and we're people, right? And so if we can build a partnership together and kind of focus on what is our relationship going to be, a lot of the things that are outside of that will fall into place in my view, but that may not always be the case.
So the only thing I would add to that is like the best partnerships that we're involved in. So, and I think like HubSpot is probably like one of the kind of like shining lights in the kind of SaaS partner space. But where partnerships really work for us is when they're multi-layered. Like when it is just a transactional sales process, it very rarely takes off. Like we will get a couple of things across the line, but it's opportunistic. It's not. There's no strategy or process around it. Whereas when we look at those better partnerships that we have and had, it's much more around how can we co-market together, how can we co-sell, what is my team's training like it, and there's kind of an involvement there from the SaaS partner. How can we give back and kind of feed back into product and things like that on the SaaS side as well. So I think like you're absolutely right, that transparency, communication, trust, and having multi-layers, I think for me that's what builds out a perfect partnership.
Yeah, and it has to go both ways, right? And I think that's what you're getting at with the transactional piece. If an organization is, reaching out to an agency just for them to drive revenue for the vendor, it's very one way and it's very self-serving. And they're their own business. They have other things that they need to do. They have their own kind of management style, and there's a lot of things happening on their end. And so you need to make it mutually beneficial, and it has to go both ways. And really, like there needs to be as much benefit for the partner as there is to you as a vendor as well, right? And so put in the effort, like do the co-marketing work, really make it clear that there's an opportunity for both of the businesses to grow. And I think if it's not going both ways, then it's going to be a difficult partnership to scale over time.
So you've not always built partnerships for SaaS companies. You founded or at least been associated with a number of entrepreneurial ventures. I'll put it under that umbrella. All of them seem to be growth focused from the outside looking in. Where's the focus on growth come from?
I don't know. Probably my parents. If that's anything.
Do you have entrepreneurial parents?
Kind of. I don't know. Well, my parents are immigrants, right? So they came from a small country called Belarus. It's north of Ukraine, west of Russia, east of Poland. So a small little country of like 6 million people that not a lot of people know of, but effectively, they immigrated to Canada. They built they worked really hard to build a life for myself and kind of my siblings as well, just to really to do that. And I think maybe it just comes from them, them consistently working to not give up, to continuously try to, make the best out of a situation for them, because we were growing up, like we were not well off, right? And so I think there was like an insatiable hunger to do better, to be better, and to continue to grow. And I think that's maybe like uh, the best place to talk about it, but that's probably what it comes down to at its core.
So look at one of those companies, and like when I was sort
Mm.
of going through like your background and kind of trying to build out the introduction, is Accelera. Have I said that right?
Yeah, totally.
Talk me through that because it's like an interesting prospect, or not prospect, like a concept.
Yeah, it was actually very interesting. So this goes back into what I was talking about a little bit before, but I was part of this incubator called Next 36. And so effectively what it does is it was an incubator that uh, basically picked 36 individuals out of the country and gave them money to start up entrepreneurial ventures. And so I was working with a good friend of mine now, Jamie Crocker, and effectively, we were tasked that summer in 2015 to build a venture. And they're like, do anything you want. We're going to give you money to build a venture. It's like, okay, cool. So we're like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here for us to, serve a market that's typically underserved, and that's in the talent space with, individuals that are typically older. And so what Accelera did at the time was we were kind of this marketplace to provide semi-retired, retired professionals with part-time or flexible work opportunities. Because what we were seeing at the time was our age demographic is actually, our population's aging pretty aggressively and pretty quickly. And there's a lot of skill within that kind of workforce that we could continue to tap into, and other organizations can continue to tap into. That was just, and people didn't want to fully retire. I think, if you talk to a lot of individuals that are getting to that age, they're saying, hey, like, we would love to continue to work in some kind of a flexible remote way. And so what Accelera was built on was really the hope and the aspiration to continue to enable them to do that. Yeah, so Jamie and I were two of three co-founders there. At the end of that, we worked on it for a little bit, but ultimately, we had some other projects that we need to continue to do. So we left it off with a third co-founder, and she kind of took it on. So it was really exciting at the time. I mean, we were really focused on, I think, what was a really unique problem, and I'm hoping somebody solves for it one day.
So interestingly, we actually have a client here in the UK called Next Up, who actually focus on, it's referred to as like the unretirement space. So like people who have left past the retirement age, left kind of mainstream employment, and then looking at kind of what's next. Is it consultancy? Is it becoming a NED? Like all of those kind of options. So it's like a really interesting space. And I think, like you're right, it is an untapped resource, particularly like if you look at even in the agency space, capacity in terms of like being able to bring people on and find talent to fill teams. That's one of the biggest challenges. And I think that you're right. Like it is a perfect market for that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I mean, software companies today, like we like hiring is tough, right? And I think hiring is tough regardless, of where you are. And so if you can bring in individuals, that have had that experience before, that, are willing to be, and you're willing to be a little bit more flexible about it, you can get, really good quality work for, done in a much faster time rate usually. So it was a very interesting idea and really cool to hear about Next Up.
So PartnerStack isn't the only thing you fill your time with. What's the Revenue Collective? How does it work? What does it do?
It's a good shout, yeah. And so the Revenue Collective is effectively it is a community of kind of revenue leaders that's, I think, now worldwide. Really, its core focus is to enable, kind of anybody that works in kind of the go-to-market space. So whether that's sales, CS, marketing, to kind of connect in a collaborative way. Because I don't think there's been like a worldwide community of individuals that can kind of share learnings and knowledge that benefit all of us. And so the Revenue Collective has been really interesting because specifically our Toronto chapter is growing well now, and we are just kind of focused on like how do we meet other people in the Toronto space that are in the revenue in just kind of the revenue go-to-market space. I know I said space a bunch there, but really what it is, and especially with COVID, it's become a lot harder to network, obviously, because you can't see people in person. So it's allowed me, at least, the opportunity to meet a lot of leaders at different organizations that I wouldn't normally have had the chance to encounter, and have, a 30-minute conversation one-on-one and say, hey, like, this is, really cool to meet you. This is kind of what we're going to focus on right now, and just kind of have a back and forth conversation. And a lot of learnings have come out of it too. So if anyone's looking for a community like that, happy to kind of dive into what it looks like and the benefits that I've gotten out of it too.
Am I right in thinking it's invite only?
It is invite only. It is paid for sure. A lot of organizations typically cover the pay, but it really depends on the organization that you're working with.
So as soon as I see something that says invite only, I'm like, how do I get an invite? How do I get into that?
Send me a note. I'll send you an invite. Yeah, I mean, not a problem. Yeah, I think the invite only, even I think Clubhouse did invite only a while back, right? But then everybody had an invite. Revenue Collective, I think, is a little bit like that too, where I think if you're really looking for it, you can find an invite for sure. But no, definitely, if you're ever interested, I'm happy to send over an invite.
I'm always up for being part of an exclusive club. Definitely.
Perfect. Done.
So, big top line question: what's next in growth? Where should people be focusing?
Yeah, honestly, I think I might sound like a broken record on this, but partnerships. Whether it's a referral, partner marketing, or reseller, it's just the fastest, easiest kind of path to market for us. Like,
where should somebody start with that then? So, like, where should a company go? Okay, partnerships. I heard Nikita talk about it a lot. It sounds like a great thing. Like, how do I start a partnership? Where do I get going?
It's a really good question. So one, it's not an easy answer. It's a little bit complicated, but I'll explain. So look at what your product does, and based on your product, there's going to be a lot of buckets that it goes into, right? And so what I mean by that is, hey, are you a self-service transactional product? Do you have a sales team for your product? Do you need a sales team for it? Are you like a hardware product or a SaaS product? And there's a lot of things there that will change what I'll say and like where you should start. So what I mean by that is, if you're a transactional product with that costs $50 a month or $150 a month, right? Start with top of funnel referral or like partner marketing partners. They'll drive top of funnel to you, that will then go into your conversion funnels, and then ultimately help individuals convert to purchase your product. Now, if you have a sales team and you have typically a little bit more of a complex product, or you have an average contract value that's, let's say, over $10,000 or $15,000 a year, you can't just focus on kind of like these affiliate and referral partners. You should probably focus on partners that are going to take a more active role in your sales cycle. So whether those are reseller partners or distributors or in implementation and global systems integrators, there's an opportunity there to get in front of partners and say, hey, I want you to learn about our product. I think you can add a service line to what you're currently doing, or your clients could benefit to it as well. Or even better, if some of those partners' clients are already using your solution, come back to them and say, hey, like 3 of your customers today are currently using PartnerStack, for example. You should definitely use us, because I bet a number of your other clients today could leverage us as well. And so I'd say it depends on what your product is and what you're looking for, and where you're kind of going where your business is growing. But if you're looking to just put some basic numbers behind it, start simple. Start with some referral and kind of partner marketing partnerships. See the traction that it goes from there, and then build from there.
So, and I'm right in thinking this is going to sound like a horrible product sales pitch, but it's not designed to be like that. But PartnerStack, you have the ability to give people more of an audience, so like partners that they can push software into, right?
Yeah. So PartnerStack is cool because and I think this is what the bet that I've made over the last 4 years on PartnerStack. But we're the technology that helps companies kind of like put the infrastructure behind their partnerships channel, but we also want to be the distribution network. And so for any customer that launches on PartnerStack, effectively they get put in a distribution network of 350 plus vendors, hundreds and thousands of partners that basically can take their product and market it worldwide. And so we have partners all around the world, and it effectively makes it really easy for people to distribute their product. And so the way that I think about it is, these kind of partner channels and these distribution engines for a really long time were only available to the biggest of companies. So your Microsofts, your Apples, your Cisco's, your HPs, they had the resources to build these distribution channels. But now what we're trying to do is we're trying to lower the bar for all SaaS companies. Like, all right, if you have a really good product, how do you get, let's say on PartnerStack, set up the infrastructure for partners to sell your product, and how do they just go? How do you just go and start selling worldwide? And obviously, there's a lot of other kind of complications that come up, like language and currencies, depending on how quickly you kind of expand globally. But how do we make it much easier for the traditional SaaS organization, no matter where they are, to get in front of a kind of a distribution network of partners, and distribute from there?
Nikita, thanks for being part of the 6 sessions. If anybody wants to follow up with you and connect with you or find out more about PartnerStack, how should they reach out?
Shoot me a message on LinkedIn. My email is nikita@partnerstack.com. Pretty easy to reach, but yeah, shoot me a note, shoot me a DM. Happy to connect.
Any parting wisdom you've got for everybody on a Friday afternoon, Friday morning, depending where you're tuning in from?
No, I mean Friday morning. I mean just enjoy the weekend. I mean it's been I think it's been a long year and a half for everyone. So depending on where you are, enjoy the weekend and go from there.
Nikita, thank you very much. Everybody's watching, thank you, and I'll see you next week. Cheers, Nikita.
Thanks so much, Rich.